You are now listening to the National Show with Gangsterville and McGee. The National Show, the National Show, the National Show, no show, no show. The National Show, the National Show, the National Show, no show, no show. Good evening, No Nation. This is the National Show with Gangsterville, and we got to sit in because McGee is on vacation drinking them martinis right now. So we got my boy Donald Lee Cook in the building, man. Before we get started, make sure you follow us on all of your social media platforms. That's National Show, NATIONOLE Show. We on Linktree that got all of our links on it. Follow us, like, watch the videos, and hit the bell and all that good stuff. But I got Donald here, man. Go on and introduce himself and tell him how long you've been with the Nation of Noles.
What's up, family? Hey, I'm Donald Cook, and I've been with the Noles over 20 years.
Woo! And yes, sir. Yes,
20 years. I remember my first game, man, against UAB. UAB back in 2004 when we went to our first game together. I think you guys went.
Yep. Sure did. Yep.
That was 2004, and it's 24, man. I'm aging.
20 years. That's crazy, bro. That's crazy.
If it's a big game, I'm there.
Oh, you already know.
Yeah, season tickets and everything. Very qualified alumni, bachelor's and master's degree from FSU, and I wish we was on better occasion, man. I wish this city was on a better occasion. And
real. Like I was just telling you, man, I met with my boss today, and he in Ohio. And man, what's up with your nose? I'm like, what the hell you heard about us for in Ohio, man?
Right.
Well, this season got you mad, got you snapping on people for no reasons, got me drinking more alcohol than I done drunk in the last 10, 15 years. Bro, I went through a whole bottle of Jack Daniels in like 2 weeks.
Wow. Yeah. It'll do it to you. That you go down, you love your team, you love your college and university, but it's hard times right now. And rightfully so. You know, FSU was ranked top 10 in the nation coming into the preseason, you kind of built the fan base up for a run at another ACC title at minimum.
At minimum, bro.
Yeah. So I know
we thought bowl eligibility was given.
Yeah, exactly. We don't win and got us another Porter QB, and we think that we're just gonna plug and play, but it wasn't plug and play
at all. It wasn't plug or play.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna wrap up some of the games we talked about last week, man. We talked about the Georgia Ole Miss game. Ole Miss was 2.5 points favorite on it, and hey, they ended up doing that thing, winning 28-10. We set on the over under 54 over, but they didn't cover it. About 38 points or whatever. But hey, it was still a good bet to go with. Now, we was wrong on the Alabama game. I thought Alabama was about to take that L at LSU, but Alabama, they showed up and did their thing. And then came, the FSU game. And to sum it up, last week, basically what I said for FSU and Notre Dame is what I've been saying all year. We can't score, we can't win.
Right.
And as you see, we only put up 3 points, and hell, we couldn't even stop them last weekend, bro. 52-3.
Right. Yeah, 52-3. I watched about a quarter of the game, and I just feel like at this point there's more things that I could be doing in life and sitting up there taking a butt whooping and just sitting there just taking it and looking at it and everybody giggling and laughing.
Man, for real.
So I did not see. I did hear some extra quarterbacks got playing time. I think Luke got some time, and then did the other freshman get in there or the other quarterback get in there? I can't remember. I think he
Well, a
maybe
little
got a
bit,
series towards the end.
a series towards the end. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep. So it's good we playing
yeah.
them young players, like you say, or whatever, man. But needed just more production, man. But before we get into deep into the last game, what do you think about the other games? That Georgia Ole Miss game, you get a chance to watch that?
I watched a little bit of it, and it's just really interesting to see how Georgia got pushed around by Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin is definitely his stock is actually raising more and more now. I think that he's going to be up there, that top tier coach. They've been having a couple good seasons. They just couldn't get that marquee signature on. So I think that it was very surprising. But I just don't want to sleep on Georgia still, though. They may be playing possum. We talked earlier before we came on about how their quarterback's been having a couple bad games, and all of a sudden now people are thinking that he's gonna go from round 1 to round 5. He chose to come back this year because he won the championship, and sometimes that's the risk you take in coming back. You damage your stock, and actually you can go down lower. But they just still have that capability of just really, really turning it on. And they just caught a real hungry Ole Miss team, that wanted it more than them. And and they were rewarded in the the playoff rankings this week, the top 12.
Oh yeah, I definitely agree, man. Georgia, they still got those recruits, but like what we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, whole atmosphere of college football has changed this year with the whole NIL and everything, mainly to the degree to where you seeing teams like Georgia, Alabama, even us to a degree where you used to be able to stack all of those talent at every position. Now you may have a good starter, but if that starter go down, you don't have 2, 3 more 5-star players to come in and fill in. So I feel like that's what's hitting Georgia in the sense that they have talent on their team, but when people get injured, even if they're playing with injuries, you don't have those players to rotate. Hell, look at how many people they put in the draft just the previous 2 years alone or whatever, man. So yeah, they feeling that fall off, but at the same time, they still got talent there. But this year, the talent is is spread even more than any year I've seen in college football or whatever. So like you say, man, they still but you just got to prove it on the field every week.
Yeah, every week. There's so much parity now. More than it was 20 years ago. When we had a couple just big dogs, and that was just the way it was. That was just, I mean, you had to go through them. But now, the talent is spread out more. Kids want to play, at an earlier time now. They don't want to wait until they're sophomores or juniors. They want to play when they come in. I never seen anything like it. And sometimes in some cases they are more ready now too. Thanks to some of the development programs in the Little League and the high school ranks. But it's like you said, the atmosphere is just totally different in college football, and you just got to be ready. You got to be ready.
Yep, and it's more of a business now, man. I mean, hell, you even got high school NIL deals now,
right?
So kids are getting paid in high school. They're transferring that business into college. I seen our top recruit on Twitter. I think it was somebody from the team trying to recruit him in. He's like a defensive lineman or something or whatever. And
I believe
it was like, Tallahassee waiting on you. Come on, bro. And he was like, yeah, I feel all of that, but it's a business. At the end of the day, saying, is y'all gonna pay me? You know what I'm saying? And I agree off of that because, man, look at Johnny Manziel, all of the instances where people brought in millions to their school and took home peanuts to the barrel for it or whatever. So I'm glad that they're getting paid, but then again, on the flip side, it's like the professionalism, you know what I mean? Like you seeing a lot of players not have that dog in them. And I know I'm talking specifically for our team and all of the money that we've put in for those portal players, and they just get here. And I'm gonna focus on the quarterback specifically, DJU. And I talked about this earlier. This is why I'm against portaling for the QB position. Last year we had JT. JT was with us from 4-5 years in. He was embedded into the school. You saw the spirit of Florida State in him every time he talked, every time he touched the mic. And now when you get DJU, you don't get that. You know what I mean? You don't get someone who's bleeding in the program. Even though Brock didn't play as good as he did, you could see the energy change once he hit the field from being someone that was brought up in the program, even if it was for 1 year. I look at Cam Ward down there in Miami. Even though he's playing good, he isn't like bringing the spirit of Miami with him or whatever. So I feel like we lose that with the business aspect of it. But hey, it's just like gambling. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, man.
Right. And that sums up our year. You hit big in the past. I mean, even our quarterback, was a portal QB from Louisville. And I remember him getting booed, at some of the earlier in his career. I was at the game. I was at some of them early games, and he got booed. But the unconquered spirit that we all talk about, as Seminoles, he rose up through the ranks. He worked his butt off. He earned the trust of his team, and he, and I think that is what is exactly what you say is missing in today's kind of like business world, transaction QBs and tight ends and everybody else, because they don't have that buy-in from them. I mean, they want to come in and win. They'll say the right things. They've been coached to say the right things. I'm a team player. No, you're not. You are there for the money, because at the end of the season, you'll see guys that'll say, well, you know what? I'm going in the portal. Now they just put it all on Facebook or Instagram, and now they want more money.
The season. 3 weeks. Remember, it was 3 or 4 weeks into the season, and it was well, I'm not even going to say freshmen. People were shutting down themselves because they were planning on entering the portals and didn't want to and wanted to redshirt themselves or whatever. And I'm kind of in the middle on that. Like, I understand it's a business, but how can you want another team to accept you when you've given up on the team that you initially started out with? You know what I mean? Like, at least show me some type of commitment, some type of dedication to it. You know what I mean? Instead of just jumping ship like that. But that's where we at right now, man.
Exactly. They just want to go in the portal, and it's about money. Then they come back. I mean, we lost, one of our recruits to Colorado at first, and then he came back. I think it was one of our linebackers. I can't remember. Somebody on the defensive side. I want to say it's Lundy. That that left and then wanted to come back, and who's gotten beat a couple times. Especially in the Boston College game. In the Boston College game, he just straight out did not cover a wheel route right out the back. I mean, the man just running wide open. I know our defense. It's me and you kind of agree and disagree on the defense, and how they. They've been left on the field too long, but they tend to give up the third and longs. They don't get off the field. They don't get timely stops. And you say the offense, if the offense would, move the ball a little bit and give them a break, then they would, that would help out. But I don't know, and we'll talk about the coaching fires in a minute, but I feel like that's what led to a lot of that is the players not buying in. Then they're out there, they're half stepping, and then bam, that would lead to a season like this. Nobody's holding them accountable.
Yep. So, and that's it, man. We'll jump right into it with the Notre Dame game, man. And I think it's not fully me. I think it's a bit of both, man. I think it's the fact that they're on the field too long for one, but also this is not like the best defense we've had in the last 3-4 years. You got to go 3 years back to get a defense that's as capable that's like the one that we got on the field. Right. We're missing a bunch of key starts, man. The production that we lost is producing in the NFL right now. Jared Verse is rookie of the year defensively right now in the talks of. Even Braden Fisk has been balling for the Rams and stuff or whatever. So it's like that talent you can't just replace talent like that. We've been blessed to be able to go from Jermaine Johnson to Jared Verse or whatever. But like you said, that portal is a lottery. You can win big one weekend, win big the next weekend, and the next day, fall flat on your face. And I think that's kind of where we at right now. We invested too much in Marvin Jones Jr., which I think a lot of that was marketing legacy. His dad went to Florida State. Let's keep him here or whatever. But I mean, all due respect to the young kid, I think he has a bright future ahead of him, but he is not what his daddy was at Florida State. You know what I mean? And he's not what we lost in Jared Verse. He's not what we lost in Jermaine Johnson. And that's nothing against the kid, man. These are superstars you're stepping in behind or whatever. But it's just to explain that's how we losing our production on defense. So when you already have those big holes to fill, and on top of that, your offense is keeping you on the field the whole game.
The whole time.
Next thing you know, wham, bam, they score 52 on us, man.
But we wasn't, in fairness, we wasn't really asking them to do that, to come in and replace them. But we just asked them to plug up the middle. It was I text you right at the Georgia Tech game. I said, man, we don't have no linebackers.
Yep.
We don't have, what kind of defense is this? Because, because if everybody was healthy at that point, you were soft. You had the bend but don't break aspect, but at the same time, you breaking all the damn way. You're breaking all the way. That's it's unacceptable. Like, it's not Florida State standard at all. And to give up that many points to Georgia Tech and even Boston College. I mean, those first two games were so pivotal in the beginning of the season. And so, we just needed somebody to come in and hold it down. You didn't have to come get 3 or 4 sacks a game. We didn't. We just need you to plug up that middle, plug up the middle, and then we can go from there. We got some pretty good talent on the back end. If they can, not tired and being on the field all the time. The whole time. So I agree.
Totally agree, man. Like you said, I understand nobody couldn't pan out to the talent we love, but there's minimum standards, like, defensive tackles. Why y'all can't plug the damn hole? Linebackers, why y'all can't wrap up? Because that was my biggest issue at the beginning of the year with the Georgia Tech game, and they cleaned it up a little bit. But my thing is, if you get your hands on somebody, they need to go down, or at least hold on to them until somebody else go there. And we seeing it on both sides. On the defense, they can't hold on to the person they tackling to, and on the offense, they can't hold on to the ball. Period. When they throw it,
no, they cannot. They can't catch. I ain't never seen nothing foolishness like that in my life.
We
haven't. I mean, the worst team since worst at this point since 1976. I mean, that's way before my time. I know before your time, right?
It got so bad, bro. I heard someone mention, you should hire Drew Weatherford. And you remember how bad I used to talk about Drew Weatherford back in the days as a quarterback with him going up versus Xavier Lee. But right about now, I kill for a damn Drew Weatherford right now.
You almost take Drew Weatherford and say, Drew Weatherford can hit a wide open man.
Right.
That's all I need you to do is hit a wide open man. You throwing it in the dirt. In the dirt. You got to do better than that, man. You got to do better than that. It's just crazy. But the talent that we did lose, Jared Verse, Keon Coleman, Braden Fisk, Jordan Travis, Johnny Wilson, Jaheim Bell, Trey Benson, Bethune and Favorite Lovett. They all in the NFL and either playing or either on the practice squad.
Not only playing but producing. Keon Coleman is filling that void at Buffalo right now. Trey Benson just had a hell of a game last week with Arizona, man. It's a lot of talent that we lost, but like you said, man, like I feel standards. There are standards that have to be set. I understand we fall back or whatever, but there's basic things in football that need to be done. You need to freaking block for 2 or 3 seconds. You need to, catch
at the college level. You at the college level. At the college level, D1 football, Power 4 school.
And can't catch a damn ball.
It don't matter if where you at, and if you can't catch, we can't. And there's a lot of blame to go around here, and I know we'll talk about it, but there's a lot of blame to go around here because what are they doing in practice? What are they doing in practice? To me, you would just do catching drills all day because you can't catch. I don't know if you got butterfingers, you're nervous, you're scared of a crowd. You've been playing in front of people your whole life, so I would hope you're not scared. If that's the case, then we got bigger problems than I ever could imagine.
Man,
we can't catch.
Yes. Well, we'll get in that to a minute. I want to shift it to talk about some games coming up, man. Let's stick it with the ACC for a minute. We got number 20 Clemson at Pitt. Betting odds got Pitt plus 7.5. What's your take on the game, man?
I really haven't seen that much of Pitt this year. I do know that they had a horrible loss against SMU. They were expected to win that game. Well, it wasn't horrible because SMU's good, but you kind of still think of SMU. You still kind of think of SMU as a Group of 5 school, even though they're in the ACC. So it wasn't a horrible loss, but it was an unexpected loss. They were, expected to win that game last week against SMU, and they didn't. So I do know that Clemson has been, had a loss against Louisville. They had a bad loss against Louisville, and I think that game was at home for them. I really think it's almost a pickup game, to be honest with you, because any game in the ACC is, can be, I really feel like it could go either way. I don't really get any, I don't know.
So betting odds 7.5 points. Would you bet on Clemson not being able to cover that spread? Because I think Clemson might be able to do it.
I think Clemson will cover the spread. I think Clemson will win the game, but it's going to be very, very tough. It's going to be very, very tough. And I really see that it could possibly go either way. 7 points is, that's a touchdown, and a little bit more. But I just think that both teams want that game, and that game is probably going to determine, who's going to be in that second spot in the ACC at the end of the weekend.
And that's at Pittsburgh too. So
yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah.
And then staying on the heels of SMU, next game, we got Boston College. Now this is my moneymaker right here. Boston College is plus 19.5 versus number 14 SMU. Now, we touched on number 4. We talked about them a couple weeks on the show as well. SMU, like you said, is a surprise. But when you look at all of everything around it, they got money. They got that oil money. And this is the time of the NIL. And what they ended up doing this year, they hit that portal and they targeted all of those players that went to those D1 schools from Dallas. Come on back home to SMU. Let me give you that NIL. Let me give you this bag. And they balling, bro. They got at least 10 or 12 players from Miami, SEC teams, all these Power 1 division schools or whatever, and they're maximizing off of it, bro. They're doing it. And it's funny because like everybody, I was guilty. I let SMU join the ACC.
yeah.
Ain't shit to laugh
at. No. Most definitely. No, they doing some damage.
Right. So I'm thinking, man, I might put some money on this one for real, because as good as Boston College is, they're kind of in a turmoil state. They just benched their quarterback, Castellanos, number 1, the one that beat us earlier this year. They benched him, and they got a new quarterback in there. So, offense got a vibe different. And I even feel like even if Boston College is at their best, this is going to be a close game. Like even if they win this, they win by touchdown, maybe 10 points. That 19.5 points, that might be your moneymaker right there. So if you're listening, that's the moneymaker right there.
Yeah.
But it's crazy, bro. How is it? What time are we in where SMU is in the top of the ACC?
Well, the same time that Duke beat Florida State in football, karma is something else when, because you think about all those days when we beat up on them in basketball and would rush the court. In fact, I thought that they would burn down Wallace Wade Stadium if they ever beat FSU, and they did storm the field. If I recall, they stormed the field over 1-7, 1-8 FSU team at the time. But yeah, same. It's SMU is good, and they really fit in the ACC. To be honest with you, now they making their mark. And I mean, Boston College, that's gonna be an interesting game. That is a really good one to watch as far as the betting line and everything. So yeah, they benched their quarterback. So I agree with that. They benched their quarterback. Benched or he left. I don't know. There's some mixed stories coming out about what actually happened. And then maybe he may enter the portal. He may not enter the portal. And then there's some feelers out there that he may try to reach out to FSU, or if FSU reach out to him. But yeah, that's gonna be interesting. I definitely agree with that.
Oh yeah. And then I'm gonna skip on over to the LSU at Florida. They got Florida plus 4.5 on this one. I don't know, man. It's at the Swamp, but it's LSU. But then again, Florida going through so much turmoil right now. Starting quarterback gone for the season, Graham Mertz. DJ Lagway, who, as much as I hate the Gators, that boy, there's something special right there. That's, in my eyes, that could be Tebow 2.0 if he stays healthy. And his ability to move, and then he can throw that damn ball down the field like it ain't nothing. They say there's a probability of him playing this weekend, but in all realness, if he does play, he's not going to be 100%, so he's not going to be as effective as he normally is. I'm taking LSU this game, bro. I'm taking LSU in the Swamp on them. I don't think Florida got what it takes to beat them, especially after being beat the brakes beat off of them last weekend or whatever. What's your take on it?
I mean, it just depends on if they quarterback come back and play and how effective he is. You know, they say he's practicing a little bit here and there, and he could be a game time decision from what I read earlier. You know, so which tells me two things: that he's really going to try to be back for our game in a couple weeks. But it just depends on that. You know, Florida has a really good defense. I think. You know, they hold them in games. They gave up a lot of points last week against Texas? I think they played, but that was because you know they had a lot of injuries, and then they just quit. They quit. You know, they quit, and when you know and it's interesting because when we was coming up, you know, if you quit, you got benched. You know, now if you quit, it's just like, okay, well, on to the next game. I've never seen anything like it in my life because you just quit. But so Texas won so big, it was just you know crazy. I really don't know about this one because I think LSU's coming off a very embarrassing loss. You know, they got blown out by Alabama, if I'm not mistaken, last week. You know, I was out of town. I was in Philadelphia last week, so I didn't catch a lot of the football games, but I did catch little things here and there. So I didn't know how they looked in the loss. LSU, I don't know if they lost any key players. But LSU has, you know, I don't know what the LSU Florida record is lately, but it just seems like LSU's been getting the better of Florida. So you know, I think that I'm not going to pick them. I would go with LSU. I think LSU Brian Kelly's going to have some things up his sleeve. He's not scared. He's going to go for it on fourth down. You know, LSU's coming off that embarrassing loss. LSU's better than that, better than what they looked against Alabama. And in fact, when they line up against Florida, they're going to say, "Whoa, we can block these boys. We can do this to these boys." You know, just watch out if LSU gets a lead in this game. I don't think Florida will be able to, you know, keep up.
Agreed. Totally. Yeah. So, all right, now let's move on to the biggest game this weekend, which is Tennessee at Georgia. Number 7 Tennessee at number 12 Georgia. They're giving Tennessee a 10-point spread on this one.
Okay.
So
Tennessee's favored by 10, or they down? Let's see. They're favored by 10.
So basically, it's saying Georgia's favored. That's why they're giving Tennessee the 10 points on it or whatever. So Tennessee would have to win by 10 in order for you to get your money. I don't think they're gonna do that versus Georgia. And I'm not saying that they're gonna lose to Georgia or whatever. They could may and well beat Georgia because Tennessee, they got a hell of a potent offense under Joe Heupel, that quarterback that they got or whatever from quarterback from Oklahoma back in the days or whatever. Right. That coach been pulling some things out with Tennessee, bro. So I definitely think that's a sweet spot to put your money on, man.
Right.
Tennessee, I don't think gonna cover the spread. And I actually think Georgia may come out and win this one just off of what happened last week, you know. Off of that loss to Ole Miss. So, yeah, we going with Georgia.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with Georgia on this one. Georgia is in a place where they gotta win. There's no that, you know, that's the patty caking around is over for them. They want to prove, they have something to prove. They got dropped in the rankings this week to down to number 12 in the college football playoff rankings. So I think they really have something to prove, and they're going to be at home. They're going to be going wild, and I don't know what time that game is, but that game is going to be It's gonna be crazy. And you know, I
Mhm.
just missed the game of the week on CBS. You know, you remember we grew up. Remember we talked
Mhm.
about this when SEC decided to, you know, terminate their contract with CBS because CBS
Yep.
would not bid, you know, ABC, ESPN/Disney.
Mhm.
You know, the CBS is still broadcasting games, but it's from the Big Ten or big
Yeah.
conference,
It
and
ain't
it's just not the same.
right.
The
Right.
game of the week, and from the best conference apparently, and then it was on CBS, and then, you know, I just hate that. You know, I just like look those 3:30 games. That's when the marquee game
Mhm.
was. You know, not at
Yep.
8 o'clock at night, and you know
Yeah. Yeah. It's
you know,
crazy.
yeah, the networks ain't got involved.
It's crazy, but you
Mhm.
definitely touched on it then, man. Them CBS days was good.
Oh yeah.
ABC is buying out everything right now, switching everything on us or whatever. Hard to adjust when it comes through so many years that we, you know, grew up watching them commentators and having all of them games be midday, and then you can go out and enjoy the rest of your
Yeah,
day.
you enjoy the rest of your day. You had
Not no
you had
more.
high noon. Sometimes the marquee game was at high noon,
Yep.
you know, so you had the rest of the day, especially for if you're having to drive. Tallahassee's not around the corner for most of them. You know, the Metro, Tampa, and Orlando, Miami. The fan base is, you know, more so located in other parts of the state. So, you know, you got to commute 4-5+ hours, and you already know the hotels are going to jack up the prices.
Oh yeah.
You know, because there's not that many hotels, you know, in Tallahassee areas, and so you know, I tend to stay out there in Perry. I stay at
That's
Madison,
smart. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah.
and then drive in.
Smart. Hell yeah. All right. So now that we talked about our marquee matchups, no game this weekend for Florida State. We on a bye week, but boy, don't we got some shit to talk about with them Noles.
Seems like we've been on the bye week since you know, since week 1.
Right. But oh man, all of the changes that we've gone through. First, let's start with the coaching, man. So we fired our defensive coordinator, wide receivers coach, and offensive line coach.
Okay.
What impact do you think that have? Do you think it was deservingly for him? Because I mean, all of these positions, except maybe the wide receiver, I've always been kind of iffy on Ron Dugans because we haven't produced a wide receiver in I don't know how freaking long, since Rashad Green, I want to say, is the last receiver that came out of Florida State that was, you know, born and bred and recruited there or whatever. But outside of that, dude, offensive line, we made a complete 180-degree turnaround 2 years ago. Literally came from the bottom to the top, was heavy with recruiting. And then you take our defensive coordinator, he was, you know, all of those prospects we put out over the last 2 years alone. To go from that to being fired all off of 1 year, do you think it's overreaction? Do you think it's much needed? Do you think more people need to be fired? What's your take on it, bro?
Yes, and yes. Yes. Okay, first of all, you know, we're not going to sit up here and sugarcoat at this point. It was warranted. It was not overreaction. You know, you got, you know, the offensive coordinator, the defensive coordinator, Adam Fuller, Alec Atkins. You know, these are some of the most highly paid assistants, you know, that's on the team. We owe them $6.3 million just next year, even though they're not going to be on our team. Mike Norvell made these coaches rich. He got them an extension last year. He made sure his assistants was, you know, and we said, okay, you know, coach got him he got him a nice healthy raise there too, you know. So Randy Shannon's gonna take over, I guess, the defensive responsibilities there. And let's not forget, he used to be a head coach down in Miami, you know, a while ago, you know. So
we was interviewing him with Norvell whenever we was looking for a coach.
Yeah. So he's more than capable of you know, manning the defense these last 2 games, if that means anything. It was very much warranted. You didn't have a choice but to make a coaching change because the fan base was not having it. How are you gonna sell? Right now they're fundraising for next year. All right, they're fundraising. The boosters, you know, kind of like when they got Jeff Bowden out of there. They met and they said, "Look, we're not gonna have this. You know,
Yeah.
Florida State just won't tolerate losing like this. We never have, and we never will. The COVID year was forgiven because because of COVID and a worldwide pandemic. But other than that, we've won. Been bowl eligible for the most part. Most of my lifespan, anyways. So yeah, there's a standard when it comes to coaching. You had no choice. The boosters wasn't going to stand for the same thing, same dog and pony show. We done seen it all these games, and it's not working out. There's some question of whether some of that NFL talent we talked about earlier was masking some of the coaching inabilities. So if right now, they're saying where the sky's not falling, it's not falling, but the sky's falling at Florida State because this is rock bottom. This is new meaning to rock bottom. And we got to this point.
It's bottomed out.
Yeah. We got to this point because again, we top 10 team coming in. You done built high expectation. If you would have just said, well, Lord, we might be lucky to get 6-6 or 7-5 or 8-4, we probably would have been like, okay, we're gonna have a down year. We got to rebuild and retool. See, the national media, they really are still in a forgiving mode for Florida State. They kind of say, well, they lost all that talent. They rebuild it. They more willing to forgive this season than us because we really hard on Florida State right now. It's like, wait a minute, no, we don't care if it was a rebuilding year because we have talent on the team, and is it being coached to what it's supposed to be? And the answer is no. All right. When you see people quit and whiff on blocks, they jog after you jog to make a tackle instead of running up to make a tackle. And it's just straight embarrassing, and it's just uncalled for. And so, yes, it was warranted. It was not an overreaction. You got to make more changes, I think, too. Randy Shannon's we're gonna have to say bye-bye to him, apparently. Eventually, I think so. It's some more coaching changes that's gonna need to be made. Mike Norvell is gonna have to just go ahead and just clean house because again, if you really look at it, we kind of underachieved last year with the defensive talent we had. We were struggling in games where we shouldn't have been struggling in.
Yep.
I've said this openly, and I've said it earlier tonight. Last year, I was at that Miami game. We couldn't block Miami.
I was just thinking about that game. Yep.
We could not block. I was there. Yep. We could not block Miami for nothing.
Nathaniel.
Yep. You couldn't block them. If the Duke quarterback don't go down, we just played last week.
Yep.
You may lose to Duke last year at home. You couldn't stop. You couldn't stop them, but yet you got all this NFL talent. So, that goes back to what coaching. What was the coaching scheme, the philosophy? Adam Fuller. He a blitz and don't know how to disguise a blitz. If you're gonna blitz. Get there, get home. No, you leaving. One-on-one wide receiver. So, I definitely agree with that. It was kind of what's interesting is it was shocking because we had talked earlier that day about how something's gonna have to give. And then you text me like, what, breaking news, coaches changed.
Yep. It wasn't even an hour later, I don't think.
and bro, you know what it reminded me of was when you text me. I had just left Tallahassee. I was driving, and in them days, you really didn't get alerts like you do on your phones. But you told me they fired Willie Taggart, but that wasn't your exact words. You said they fired that da 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 da. It rhymes with Eagle.
Right.
And I say what? And I said I went to the high pitch. What?
Right.
They fired him. I said what? Oh, I thought they was gonna give him the rest of the year. I don't think he coached those last couple games, right?
Odell Hagens took over for
that's right.
Games or whatever. Yeah, man.
Yeah. So
you're right, bro. I'm full on the board with him. One situation with Adam Fuller, with all the success we had, I hated to see it, but at the end of the day, it's what you produce on the field. And at the end of the day, what I've been looking at on the field from us week by week is so sickening. There's no improvements nowhere. I can't look at maybe the running game. I will get a running game. It's because we lost our starting running back, and I feel like if our receivers would catch the ball, they would be more productive because all they do is put 8 in the box all game long versus us or whatever. But outside of our running game, and even a running game at times, there's nothing to show improvement this year, bro. And I'll even take it a step further, man. Like, I hate to put Coach Norvell in a hot seat like that. But hell, what have you coached and produced? What have you developed at Florida State outside of Jordan Travis? And given word taken, the Jordan Travis development was probably the best developments we've seen from the QB position in a long time, from his first start to his last start. But outside of that, what have you developed, bro? Like, what receiver have we developed? What linemen have we developed? What running backs have we developed? What defensive players have we developed? Why is it every single year our best player used to play for another team the last year, the year before? You see what I'm saying? So yeah, there's no development. Why am I watching this stuff go from game to game and there's no improvements being made or whatever? And I take it personally because I feel a lot like one of our mutual friends, Terrence. You know, he got hella faith in their coach, Napier, down there in Florida. And we sat back and heard Napier talk, oh, we're going to change this. We're going to make this. But we seeing the same thing on the field. And now I look to myself, I can't fall and be that guy. I can't fall and sit back and say, oh, well, you know, Napier's changed the coaching staff, or he's going to do this or he's going to do that. It's like, I hear that, but what the hell have you really been doing the last couple of years, really, in development? Mind you, now he did a great job in turning the program around with all of the portal players and stuff that we've gotten. But I feel like there's way too much attention over the quick fixes versus the nurturing and nurturing of bringing your players up and stuff. And that's really biting us right now because we don't have not one damn freshman on our team right now that we could be like, oh, wow, this guy is going to be it for the future. We don't have one sophomore or junior on the team that we recruited that we could say this guy's going to be a stud right now. And that part that scares me, bro. It scares me.
It is scary. You know, it is
over into recruiting now. We just lost Tramel Jones, just flipped over to Florida, bro. I don't know if you saw that, but Tramel Jones, our 4-star quarterback we was gonna get, he done flipped over to Florida. I see we got another one in the Wicks that we supposed to be getting, but it's like all of our wide receiver recruits are pretty much decommitted. It's gonna be a tough turnaround next year, man. If anything's gonna be made, it's gonna have to be more than just coaching. It's gonna have to be culture. It's gonna have to. Everybody's gonna have to take a look in the mirror and see what they can bring for FSU football next year. I think, man.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that because I think the coaching development is what's in question with Coach. You know, there's minimum improvements. Mike Norvell, you know, he did change the culture a little bit. He brought in the sludge hammer, you know, and they going, you know, they on this climb. But when you have a season like this, everything's under scrutiny. There's coach, you are 1 year away from being in the hot seat yourself. We haven't forgot that you won an ACC championship last year, but looking back at that team, you know, it was not with your players, you know, not your players. And to your point, that's, you know, it wasn't with your players, and I think that's why, you know, for long term speaking, you know, if you talk to Florida State fans, they just don't know if Mike Norvell is going to be the answer long term. You know, he turned it around a little bit and he's improved, but can he take us to that next level? You know, he didn't get a chance to prove it last year, but you know what? Last year's over with. I don't want to hear about last year. You know, once the spring came, I was done with it. I didn't want to talk about it. I really, to this day, have not really talked about the snub that much. Because there's nothing that can be done. There's nothing you can say when I seen them unveil Alabama. You know, because there was no way that they could put Texas in without putting Alabama. I've never said anything about it. You know, you had some rival fans, you know, snickling and whatever like that. But most outside fans say, well, damn, y'all should have got in there. Y'all, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Now you come in the next year, it's a totally different expectation. You weren't really expected to, win a national championship, but you was at least supposed to, win the ACC. So, and
make
with
a
the
bowl
letdown,
game at least.
a bowl game, compete for the ACC, maybe beat your right. Oh, that's what I was going to say as well. Which earned Coach Norvell the graces with the fans is that he's been able to beat our rivals.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of Jimbo Fisher a little bit. Jimbo Fisher, he would coach his best game against the Gators.
Oh yeah,
but he struggled.
Gators, Miami, Clemson. Oh yeah.
Those games, Coach saved his best. He had something back in the playbook, and he was ready.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Norvell has done the same, except for this year.
Yep.
We're outmanned. We're outmanned. We don't have the talent, but and so that's why we won the state championship 2 years in a row. I think the year before that we lost to Miami, or lost to UF, but we beat Miami. So I know we had 3 straight until this year over Miami. And I think we got 2 straight over the Gators. We're going for the 3rd one this year. But at the end of the day, that's what's bought him, okay, all right, fix it. We'll give you time to fix it. Hire who you need to hire. And then, let's go from there. That's why he has the extra time. You got everything on the table where he was just a group of 5 coach. He may not know how to really consistently coach at this level. He did it at Memphis, but can he continually do it at FSU? Well, last year, the narrative was Florida State done struck gold with this G5 coach. They done gave him an extension. Alabama wanted an interview with Coach. Coach turned
and that's the only reason he got his extension.
Yeah,
that's the only reason I feel he got his extension is because Alabama was looking at recruiting him at one point or whatever.
Yeah.
But to stick with coaching, I've always said, and I will say, in the beginning, I was hard set on Norvell just being a Band-Aid to the next coach. That's what I thought he was going to be, because it was a lot of trash to pick up and clear out from not only the last coach we had in Willie Thaggart, but from Jimbo Fisher. That Jimbo Fisher shit leaked all the way into Norvell's tenure there. So I understand there was a lot to turn around. But I always saw him as a Band-Aid. And then we had the good year, the year before last, where I think we lost 3 games consecutive, but won every other game. And I'm like, okay, he may be okay. And then last year came through. And I'm like, all right, me personally, I would have waited another year to give him such a big contract or whatever, just to see if it wasn't a fluke, but also just because of the environment of college football changing, bro. You got Nick Saban stepped down for a reason. He knew he wasn't going to be able to sit there and bust everybody in the mouth with a stacked team no more.
Right.
This whole environment is different. You seeing Dabo Swinney not being able to be as dominant as he was before. So I think a lot of that has to do with it as well. Just the whole atmosphere of college football has changed, but I'm gonna put something out there for you. There's a certain coach up there at Colorado. His son is going to the NFL this year. I think next year he'll be in Colorado for maybe another year to make it solid. I think that'll be a valuable option for us to hire. This coach I'm talking about is primetime, Deion Sanders, man. If there's anybody I feel that could turn our program around, he has done what he's done with Colorado is amazing. Colorado is what we are now. But they've been that for decades. Winning only 1 game here.
When he was in school.
Right. They've been sorry since then. And he's taken them all the way around. He's used the portal. He's used recruiting.
Right.
What I'm saying is this would be a sweet spot landing, but overall, this is what a college football coach has to be today and going forward in the NCAA. You have to be able to use that portal. You have to be able to pull in recruits. You have to be able to stay consistent with it.
Right.
And Prime has done that, man. I'm going to ask you, how do you feel about Prime being our coach? And then 2, do you think if we stick with Norvell, he'll be able to mature into a Coach Prime?
Well, there was one point Coach Prime wanted to come coach here. He made it known that he wanted to coach here. And Florida State kind of shunned away from that, especially it was immediately after the Willie Taggart era, and me and you have talked probably. We already know why that he probably that they just didn't want somebody else like that in there.
Right.
He didn't have any experience. To Florida State's credit, he didn't have any experience, head coaching experience, or anything like that. He just had this celebrity status, and he was proven on the field, but if Coach Prime wanted to come here, I would welcome Coach with open arms. Right. I would say, "What's up, bro? What's up, bro? Come fix it. You the only one can fix it."
Right.
I would roll out the red carpet. I just, this video and will mature, and in 2 or 3 years now, I look back on this, and my statements may be, look like crazy when Mike Norvell took us back to the mountaintop. But I just I agree with you when you said earlier, like how you just felt like he was a Band-Aid. I always saw Coach Norvell as more of a Band-Aid type of coach until last year when I thought maybe, just maybe we done struck gold with this coach. But I think what Primetime has done over there in Colorado is unprecedented. It's great. They haven't been, I just saw them. They ranked, they're ranked in the, let me see. They're almost ranked in the college football playoff top 20, top 12. They're out. I think they're 4 spots away from. I think there were 17, and there's 12 teams that get in this year. As we know. So they trending up. They may even make the playoffs. And oh my goodness, they probably burned Boulder down. I'm talking about burning Wallace Wade down.
Right.
Yeah, but I don't think that I agree. I don't think Coach Norvell is going to be the long-term answer long-term. But if Coach Prime wanted to come back, I'd welcome him with open arms. If it was after next year, couldn't be next season. It would have to be the 26th season, and then that we would see where we are at that point, and what our record is, and if Coach wanted to come back. But I think that it's going to be an open job for anybody, because Florida State is an attractive piece. Coach already said there's NFL interest in our open positions at open coaching positions at wide offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. So he said that in his press conference this past week. So there's it's a reason why Florida State continues to be on national TV prime time. The fact that they 1-9, 1-7 in the ACC. So the brand itself will still sell. It will, folks still buy tickets to see Florida State. So there's definitely going to be a lot of interest no matter what.
Yep. I totally agree, man.
Whether it's Coach Prime or anybody else, it's going to be interest.
Financially speaking, I would just hope Norvell work it out, because I don't feel like paying another coach like we paid Willie Taggart. I think we just got him off the books last year or this year or whatever. So I would really love to see Norvell turn out to be that guy. And I still got faith in him. I know a head coach can't do everything. But then at the same time, I got some questions too, some play calling, some decisions, and some development issues. Hopefully we see that get addressed this off season, and we turn back to at least being bowl eligibility.
Right.
Man. That's what I want. At least let's go bowling, man. But before we wrap the show up, man, what do you have to say to our Florida State team? If you could send them one message for this bye week to get ready to come out next week and wrap this season up, what message would you give them?
I mean, if I was talking directly to the Florida State team, I'd say, look what you're putting on film. Get in there and practice the basic fundamental things. Don't overthink things. Go in there, have a good time, but you got to learn. All right, you got to learn and get better. You haven't been getting better. You've been getting worse. You've regressed. We already know how bad we are. One out of 134 football teams, you rank dead last in scoring, and 101 in scoring defense. The only teams that are worse than us or just about as bad as Purdue 1-8. You got the Kent State Owls out of the Conference USA 1-8. We down here with the bottom. The Sun Belt Southern Miss 1-8, and Kent State 0-9 in MAC. That's unacceptable, Florida State team. You know,
Ryan
your starting QB was benched or had a medical illness with his finger. That he wasn't playing good against SMU, and he got benched. So it was people calling for a quarterback change. It was people calling for coaching change. Players need to play. It got so bad one time they started blaming the DJ in the stadium.
I remember that.
Was playing too much rap music, or whatever. We want to hear the marching Chiefs on 3rd and long. That's where we at. We complain about stuff like that because it's been that horrible of a season. What I would say to the football team is this: you have a big rivalry game at the end of the year. You didn't. I don't know what happened against Cam Ward is what happened against Miami, but let me tell you, Florida State hung in there against Miami longer than it was a 4th quarter game. At the beginning of the 4th quarter, Florida State had the ball. If they just would have had a little bit more, they could have really put more pressure on Miami. With this rivalry game being at home, you just have to throw out all records. And you have to just see where you end up at the end of the game. Just play your hardest and see what happens, because this is not an unbeatable Florida team. It's not going to be an unbeatable Florida team. Even with DJ out there, DJ Lagway, the defense have proven over and over that when they want to play, they'll play. If they feel like they got a chance, they'll go out there and play hard. So Coach Norvell, this bye week, you got 2 bye weeks. All right, let's hope we win against the cupcake we got against. Is it Charleston Southern?
Charleston Southern, yeah.
So maybe we could get to 2 and whatever. So I think that if they can just put something together and come out with a little bit of confidence, you're gonna have everybody there. You're gonna have old alumni there. You're gonna have old players there, and I'll be there. So I have to go to this game. Unfortunately, I bought tickets in the preseason when they were dirt high. Sky high. I bought tickets to the Clemson game. So, and I sold them, and I only made out of $500, I made maybe $100. Each ticket I had to sell for $30.
Lord have mercy.
That's crazy. So, that's it. And I just hope that they just try to put some pride together. And a win like that wouldn't salvage the season for me. It really wouldn't. I think it would make it can't salvage the season because our expectations are too. But it would just it would make me crack a smile.
Right.
That's
all we need right now is a little bit of hope, just a little bit.
Yeah.
But all right, y'all. So I'm about to wrap it up, man. This is the National Show. You can email us, give us feedback, suggestions for the show at our email address, nationoleshow@gmail.com. This is part of the Bet Your Ash podcast on IG, Facebook, Twitter, X, betyourash.com, betyourash.com, on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're live on YouTube, National Show at National Show YouTube. We're gonna have the audio up directly afterwards, and then we're gonna have the video up as well. Thanks, Cook, for coming on the show today.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me. I gotta come back again on better circumstances.
Right.
Maybe after the Florida game.
Yeah, we've been talking about getting some hosts, some other people on the show or whatever for some interviews. Definitely gonna have you coming back, my brother. Appreciate you coming out. We're just gonna end it with what we always say: go Noles, and hopefully we can get a W out of this bye week for next week, next 2 weeks. But all right, y'all, go Noles.
Yeah, man.
And you have just finished listening to the National Show with Gangsta, Fizil, and McGee.